Hi, good morning, friends. It is answer key for 18th February afternoon paper. It is 14 to 17 hour. The answers are: the extract. Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested from of studies. Who has been happily called the poet's poet? The answer is Spenser. Dash sends the dragon to attack the knight. It is Deuza. Who is the Lord of Parlight? In Prologue to the Canterbury Tales, the answer is a Muslim. Bacon of adversity cites Seneca's high and two sayings. Spenser's Prothalamion is a marriage celebration honoring the double weddings of the daughters of Earl of Worcester. Who wanted Alexander Pope not to tamper the earlier version of The Rape of the Lock? It is Addison. Who was called as the great champ of literature by Smollett? The answer is Johnson. Stand still, yet we will make him run is the concluding line of which poem? His chemistries. Donne often borrowing his images from which branch of subject? It is old astronomy. My vegetable love should grow vaster than emperors and more slow. The above lines are from To His Coy Mistress. Already two questions are asked from Coy Mistress. We should sit down and think which way to walk and pass our love's day, though by the Indian dash side. Choose the Indian river mentioned in the poem Ganges. The poem The Rape of the Lock was based on the actual event recounted to Pope by John Carroll. In George Herbert's The Pulley, the poet uses pulley as a conceit to depict humans' restless nature. In this poem, Herbert reminds us that the beauty of the world cannot last, decay and death are inevitable. Samson in Milton Samson Agrates is visited by the number of persons. Who is the first visitor? His father, Manoah. Of stain his honor or her a new brocade. This line from Pope's The Rape of the Lock is an example of eusigma. The child is the father of the man. In which poem of Wordsworth does this line occur? It is according vote to imitation of immortality. Who said, if poetry comes not as naturally as the leaves to a tree, it had better not come at all? It's said by Keats. In the poem Tintagel, with whom does Wordsworth take on a walk near the river Wye? The answer is his sister Dorothea. William Hazlitt in his essay My First Acquaintance with Poets speaks about Coleridge. What is the name of the great grandmother referred in Dream Children a Reverie? It is Mary Field. The Burial of the Dead is a section centers around the theme of reversal. Sprung rhythm and the word inscape was used by Gerald Manley Hopkins in The Wreck of the Large Land. Browning's Andrea del Sarto is a dramatic monologue with an obscure language. Who describes death in life as the basic theme of the poem The Wasteland? The answer is F.R. Lewis. Which of the following poet is known as war poet Wilfred Owen? In the poem Byzantium, the speaker talks about a miracle. What is it? A golden bird of the golden tree. As you from crimes would pardon be, let your indulgence set me free. This final couplet is the epilogue of the play. The Tempest makes it clear that forgiveness frees us. In how many days does the events in Macbeth take place? 9 days. How many years prior who Prospero custard from his drunkendom along with his daughter? 12 years. It is how many years prior Prospero outcasted from his dukedom along along with his daughter, dukedom along with his daughter? The answer is 12 years. Remember, I have done 3 worthy services, told thee no lies, made no mistakes, several without grudge or grumblings. Whose words are these? It is of Ariel. And our little life is rounded with a sleep. Identify the correct altitude of Prospero with reference to the contest. It is pained recognition. Which announced a drum, at Macbeth that come. It is third which. What is the theme of Sylvia Plath's poem Dardy? The answer is love, hatred, and loss. C symbolizes motherhood in the poem Out of the Cradle endlessly rocking. The chariot in Because I Could Not Stop for Death passes before a house. What is the house? It is tomb. My apple trees will never get across and eat the corns under its spine, I tell him. And the lines from the poem, it is mending wall. Who is Joe DiMacchio, whom Santiago thinks of? The Old Man and the Sea. It is a baseball player. Joe DiMacchio is a baseball player. Gitanjali means song of offerings. Muktadara criticizes destructive use of science and naturalism. I am here to sing the songs in this hall of thine. I have a conquer seat. Which mode of worship does the poet select here? It is music. The central idea of Sri Aurobindo's poem thought the paralyte is transformation in self. What is the backup of Guru Dharandas Laran Shagib? It is 19th century India. Why it is 19th century means it is late 1860s, no? So it is considered to be the 19th century. And who is the protagonist of Handful of Rice? It is Ravi. What is IPA? International Phonetic Alphabet. Which play of Harold Pinter follows the traditions of absurdism, realism, English comic review, and the grotesque surrealism of that is Franz Kafka? The answer is Birthday Party. Whose fiction has been associated with the narrative device called stream of consciousness? James Joyce. Ulysses it is. James Joyce the answer. What is considered a fundamental feature of romantic poetry? The answer is desire of freedom. Which of the following kinds of criticism was more to call junk? It is myth criticism. The Playboy of the Western World by S.M. Finch was published in the year 1907. A Western language is also called as Zend, Z-E-N-D, Zend. The word vicar comes to English language from the French. British English word scone is called biscuit in American English. British English scone is called as biscuit in American English. The Indian European broke up into several different dialects mainly on geographical basis. The word poet is a French loan word. Cantif from the Old French had become part of the vocabulary of English soon after 1100 and meant prisoner. Here they ask more questions on loan words and 9th unit. S.T. Coleridge Biography of Literary Art, that is chapter 17 takes up the issue of, that is takes the issue of poetic diction and examines words with views on poetry. I. Richard called the harmonized state the balancing of conflicting impulses on synesthesis. By the unity of time, Dryden refers to the time limit of 24 hours. Which of the following terms used by T.S. Eliot in the famous essay The Metaphysical Poets is a dissociation of sensibility? Which one of the following is not one of the 4 kinds of meaning is emotion? The term Hematia refers to tragic flaw. Was this the phase that launched 1,000 ships and burned the topless towers of him? Elysium refers to Troy. Helen of Troy. Troy. The Prince of Parma was the leader of Dash Forces copying the Netherlands. Here, the Prince of Parma was the leader of Spanish forces occupying the Netherlands. The alchemist is the target of the crooks. The alchemist Epicure is the target of the crooks. Who speaks the following in the play The Spanish Tragedy? Fair were the son, not conquered but betrayed. Hieronimo. Fair were the son, not conquered but betrayed. Hieronimo. Identify the author who does not belong to the university which it is William Congreve. Next one is Mr. Heathcliff appears in the novel of Emily Bronte, Wuthering Heights. In the novel Mansfield Park, Mansfield is the name of a house. Whose reign does Shelley in his defense of poetry called the period of grossest degradation of the drama? It is Charles II, whose arrival did break the quiet life of Emma and Elizabeth, who enjoy each other's company with an increasing affection of their brother Robert and his pert and conceived wife. Wuthering Heights is a novel of extraordinary power, but is a book not to be read with pleasure. The first picture of the Heights is revolting from its brutal life. The wild stories and the rugged character of Yorkshire seem to be almost beyond the bounds in belief. Who said this criticism? It is it is Hugh Walker. It is said by Hugh Walker. Which one of the following novel is considered Jane Austen's best and brilliant work as the expression of an artist at the height of her powers? Is Emma. To the Lighthouse is a novel full of symbolism. In To the Lighthouse, Virginia uses interior monologue technique. Interior monologue technique, and also she uses stream of consciousness technique too. Because interior monologue is nothing but she speaks to herself and she is revealing what is her inner thoughts. That is called interior monologue. In To the Lighthouse, Virginia uses interior monologue technique. The pig imagery in Hardy's Jude the Obscure is recurred with reference to Jude. Next one, she had the own beauty of the hair spa. Who is described here is Virginia Woolf. What is the setting of the novel Middlemarch? It is provincial town of Middlemarch. And next one, which one of the following plays Shakespeare projects the grim horrors of prison? This is The Tempest. Shakespeare's Measure for Measure was composed, probably acted in the summer season of 1604. And then which expedition was proposed by the king at the end of Henry IV Part 1? It is Welsh expedition. Who believed that Measure for Measure was the most painful play written by Shakespeare? It is Coleridge. Who uttered the following lines? It is the stars above us govern our conditions. It's King Lear. What does Linda assume happened when Willie returns home unexpectedly at the top of Act 1? It is he crashed the car. Death of the Salesman had its first performance at the Lucas Street Theatre. Who is Old Cato in Thoreau's Walden? Roman author of treatises on farm management. When did Faulkner receive Nobel Prize for Literature? It is 1949. Emerson's The American Scholar is the lecturer. Ariep is a drama which labeled as expressionism. How many stanzas are in there in Eddie Hope's poem Australia? It is 7 stanzas. What is the message conveyed by E.J. Pratt in his poem The Dying Eagle? It is the futility of human life. Futility of human life. The same kind of question would be that is Dying Eagle question is asked there in the first batch, the 17th afternoon already. And A.D. Hope represents Australia as a dash nation in his poem. It is a bleak nation. And Baroka, the lion of the play, Lion and the Jewel had dash sons through polygamy. They have 63 sons. Baroka, the lion, is having 63 sons. Lancune in The Lion and the Jewel is a school teacher. One is not born but rather becomes a woman. Whose statement is this? Simon de Beauvoir. Who consider the English language predominant even among the languages of the world and recommended it as the language best worth knowing and most useful to our native language subjects. This is Lord Macaulay. And next one, in which novel of Rohinton Mystery the theme of cultural hybridity post-modern theories represented such a long journey? Nancy Julia Charaudov, feminist, socialist, and psychoanalyst born in New York City. Reading White Noise, Floating Remarks is written by the author Noel King. Syntax and inflection are complementary and constitute the principal part of which we are calling grammar. The subclassification of predications in terms of the number and nature of their dependent units is called valency. How did Halkett call the code-related morphemes to morpheme system? This is a morphonemic system which combine to make larger phonomical units syllables. Regular nouns that exhibit variations of plural morpheme are called allomorphs. And then the 7 types of ambiguity by William Epson is a key text is the development of new criticism. Which of the following technique is prescribed by Brooks for reading a poem? This close textual reading. A good poem, according to Alan Tate, incorporates both the abstract and the concrete. According to Lionel Trilling, literature is historical in the sense that it is necessarily aware of this past, and many poems that we ordinarily think of as good poetry, and some besides that we neglect for their sharper apprehension. The name of the single quality is called the above are the opening lines taken from Tension in Poetry. In Spearman's two-factor theory, S refers to specific ability. The person having the capacity for adjustment, firm self-confidence, proper intellectual, emotional growth, proper interest, attitude is considered to have good mental health. Conflict between two opposing motives is a major source of frustration, which has greater importance for mental hygiene of a child. It is emotional climate. The task develop concepts necessary for everyday living is a developmental task of the age birth to 6 years. Human beings are innately good, and that the principal goal of human effort is fulfillment, growth, and happiness. Whose theory of need is based on this? It is Roger. Personality is a dash combination of the traits without the purpose on coherence. It is dynamic. And Herbert Rice test is a standardized test for assessing intelligence. There is a dash between the child's IQ and his ability to succeed in school. Significant positive correlation. Dash is the ability to adapt to new problems or situations is intelligence. A professor may accept only those assignments which may challenge his skills. It fulfills his need for self-respect. The response that is emitted by the unknown stimuli is called as operant behavior. A child at home removes 7 eggs from the pot containing 12 and understands that there would be 5 left. This is called dash transfer of learning. This is lateral transfer of learning. Young divided all human beings into basically 2 distinct types. That answer is introvert and extrovert. At that stage, the child achieves a high sociability. Adolescence. A change from helplessness to a greatly increased capacity for self-help is a manifestation of intellectual maturity. Dash are the most powerful motives at all levels of the psychological forces. The ability to suffer in silence and inhibit the symptoms of fear is associated with emotional stability. Guidance is a continuous process in the life of an individual. Guidance-minded administrators understand well the value of goodwill of their co-workers. Dash theories belong to the school of behaviorism. It is behaviorist theory. Learning is a process. Father of behaviorism is Watson. The task learning an appropriate masculine or feminine role is the developmental task of the age of 6 to 12 years. Every organism is a distinct creation in itself. What is the principle referred to here? Principle of individual difference. The term dash can be employed to describe the changes in all dimensions of one's personality. This development. The term development can be employed to describe the changes in all dimensions of one's personality. The process by which a conceived organism is turned into full-fledged being is called the growth and development. Dash is referred as the most complex act of thought. It is judging is the referred as the most complex act of thought. Attention is guided and controlled by both internal and external. The theory of achievement motivation was developed by McClelland. His association in 1951. Poets who contributed to the corpus of Sangam poetry about dash are women. These 30 are women. Poets who contributed to the corpus of Sangam poetry about 30 are women. And which hills separates Velur and Tiruvannamalai district? It is Javadi Hills. Which part of the constitution deals with fundamental rights? It's part 3. Horse gram is widely cultivated in the district of Dharmaburi and Krishnagiri. Following were the caves temples of Pandyas except Nellayappa temple. And what all the temples of Pandyas are? Malayadi Kurichi temple, and then Tirumalpuram temple and Chokkalingapatti temple. These three are Pandya's temple. Nellayappa temple is not a Pandya's one. And the only nation to have participated in every World Cup football is Brazil. The only nation to have participated in every World Cup football is Brazil. The nation highway 209 which connects the two cities, it is Dindigul to Bangalore. Name the organ which controls all activities of the cell is nucleus. The organ which controls all activities of cell is nucleus. Which is the true regarding atoms? The true regarding atom is atoms can neither be created nor destroyed. We studied in our schooling it seems. Which is the true regarding atoms? Then atoms can neither be recreated nor destroyed. And civil disobedience movement was created by Gandhiji. By comparing to the first exam question paper 17th afternoon, I feel that this question paper is extremely tough. So I think that there is no one who scored 138 there in this paper. If they score means really they are genius. Okay, we will check who is the one who got 138 mark, in which batch he is. If we know that means we will know how it to be the normalization of marks is to be. Okay friends, I will soon update the cutoff and other details in the next video. Bye.